Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 241 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, kicking things off, like usual, with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. What's going on this week, Richard?
It's going well, Seth. Ready to eat some gingerbread cookies. I don't know.
I got a gingerbread cookie from Wizards in the mail. I ate part of it on stream. I gotta say, it looked really good. I'm
Turns
not
out
the
to
biggest.
be a poison apple. No.
Yeah, I was a little worried that maybe they were trying to poison me based on like me criticizing Historic or something. But it was actually better than I thought. There was no poison apple. I survived. How about you, Krim? Did you get a gingerbread? And did you eat the gingerbread if you did?
I was pretty happy to receive a gingerbread cookie, and apparently I was one of the few people that had it where it wasn't broken, like in some way.
Mine had a broken arm, yeah.
Right, which I think there is some people online talking about, does this mean anything specifically? And I was like,
I think it means
I hope
USPS is not very careful with their packages.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway.
I did, like, I was wondering that, and I of course I was wondering that after I ate it. Of course, because I thought
you shouldn't have eaten it.
Yeah.
Now at night, the gingerbread cookies are coming for you. Like, did you not learn anything from the trailer? They're fighting back.
I ate it the day before the trailer. If I had seen the trailer, there is no way I would have eaten it because I would have worried about that, like, gingerbread woman coming to like poke me in the eye with that fork.
Like Garrick can take on, animated gingerbread cookies.
Garrick
but
does
can
have
you,
a helmet.
Seth?
No, I imagine, I'm gonna have to go back and watch the stream. I imagine it actually looked a lot like the trailer with like the cookies probably like crumbling down my beard as I was eating it. So I think I did the Garrick thing like a day before the trailer came out. But yeah, little nervous about the revenge of the gingerbread woman.
Yeah, I felt way worse after I watched the trailer and eating the gingerbread cookie, and also had it crumbling down my beard. You know what I mean? So,
yes. Hopefully Cram got all the crumbs out of his beautiful beard before the podcast.
Thank you.
Anyway, our topic for today, as you probably would have guessed, Throne of Eldraine. We have a ton of cards, early preview cards, official preview season started today, so we have like a million cards to talk about, both from the set proper and also from the Throne of Eldraine sort of like adjacent brawl decks, which I guess are like technically part of Throne of Eldraine. They're set numbered to go along with Throne of Eldraine and have the set symbol, but are like a standalone product too, so tons of Throne of Eldraine to talk about. Before we jump into it, a reminder that our show today is brought to you by SpikesAcademy.com, and Spikes Academy is presenting a new course about Limited, this time with Hall of Famer and super great Limited player Ben Stark. And in the course, Ben will teach you how to be a better draft and sealed player and build better draft and sealed decks and how to evaluate cards for Limited. So get ready to crush your next pre-release event with Spikes Academy and the new Limited course featuring Ben Stark. You can even use the code Goldfish to get a 5% discount over at SpikesAcademy.com today. So thank you so much for supporting the show to Spikes Academy. And with that, let's talk Throne of Eldraine. And we got a really big list of cards we want to talk about. But before we do, I got to ask you guys about the trailer. I was sitting watching the Wizard stream. It was a little bit weird. It was like a half hour of cookie baking, which was very abstract and like avant-garde for Wizards.
Free baking lessons is, something we shouldn't overlook here.
That is an upside. It did kind of make me want to try to make my own gingerbread, like follow along with the video and make my own cookies. But then they played the trailer, and I gotta say, if you haven't seen it yet, it's on YouTube. I was actually like kind of floored that Wizard made this trailer. Like, they picked up their trailer game with War of the Spark, but I think that the Throne of Eldraine trailer, in my opinion, even blew the War of the Spark trailer out of the water. It was just so good. So what did you guys think of the preview show and the teaser trailer thing for Throne of Eldraine?
I am so excited.
Yeah.
About gingerbread cookies.
Okay. I'm waiting for our gingerbread planeswalker. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that trailer was super sweet. I also might have potentially ruined it for myself because I kept hearing Shrek in my head, and I kept hearing Smash Mouth playing as soon as Garrick burst through the door.
I felt emotions. I was a little sad. And then I hated Garrick. I'm like, Garrick, why would you do this? The triumphant return of Garrick, the gingerbread cookies. I'm just ready to see gingerbread tribal going on. I'm ready to see what other things are going to fight back, right? Like the whole premise is there are fairy tales, things are happening, but then the fairy tales fight back. And I think the trailer did a great job of showcasing that. And it was just really good. Like I thought War of the Spark trailer was really good. And then somehow WotC like one-upped themselves. And it felt like it was more high production. Like last time it was still kind of more like the still graphics kind of deal. Now it just looks like a fully animated short. So I actually enjoyed it. And I hope they keep it up for the next couple sets, which they also announced.
We got so much info. Theros, some monster world.
Yeah, Ikoria.
Teferi
like
set.
Ikoria.
Yeah, Core 2021. Say it with me, Seth. Core 2021.
I am already
Featuring
dreading
Teferis.
the next core set.
I
And
am.
then return to Zendikar
Yeah.
without Eldrazi.
Fetches. We're going to get fetches. Calling it. I already called it on Twitter, but I'm calling it again here. Fetches.
This is like
return.
the fourth return? The third return? Like how
This
many-
is the third, yeah.
This is the third
Yeah,
return.
We've had 3 return. Like that's the most we've returned to a set so far, right? Or a plane so far, right?
We like Zendikar apparently. Although last time Battle for Zendikar, I thought it was kind of
so
like
bad.
a flop. It apparently it
Oh,
sold
yeah,
well,
I
which I
did
think
not
was
like it.
because of masterpieces, but it seemed like the response from the community was pretty negative, but it feels like maybe they figured it out. Like I think my problem with Battle for Zendikar is it felt like Return to Rise of the Eldrazi more than it felt like anything to do with Zendikar. So I think they said this is going to be more like original Zendikar, like that adventure world and like the original theme. So maybe this return will kind of nail it.
Yeah, I hope so because Battle for Zendikar was kind of a dud of a set for me. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like a lot of the cards from it.
Devoid.
Gideon.
Worst mechanic ever. It does nothing.
Although that did introduce us to Devoid, which was funny. I did like Devoid, but because I think I only liked Devoid because at the time I couldn't deal with Etch Champion, so I played Brutal Expulsion.
That was an answer. Or you
out
could
of
always,
Grixis control, of course.
Yep, or the like Eldrazi Sweeper. I can't remember the name of it. Like the Eldrazi Pyroclasm. That would get rid of it too.
Oh, and you get it back.
yeah,
Return of Kozilek.
Yeah, something like that, and then you get to deal more damage if you cast a big Eldrazi spell.
Anyway, I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We're like a year away from Zendikar, but it is returning today. We have a lot of cards that are coming out in like 2 weeks now. We're very close to Throne of Eldraine release. So let's talk about some cards we're going to be playing with very shortly. And Richard, why don't you guide us through some of these sweet new cards?
All right, we're going to start off with a Planeswalker. 2 Planeswalkers in 1 card at 3 CMC, the Royal Scions. So Will and Rowan Kenrith are the protagonists in this world, and they have their own card. So 1 blue and a red, 5 loyalty, +1, draw a card, then discard a card. +1, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike and trample until end of turn. -8, draw 4 cards. When you do, the Royal Scions deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand.
I mean, I think this is a pretty good Planeswalker. I mean, okay, so here's my argument. Remember Jace Vryn's Prodigy that just was like a looter Planeswalker? This is kind of just like a Planeswalker that sits out and loots every single turn and improves your hand, and then eventually maybe you ultimate it, and the ultimate's pretty sweet, like an opportunity that also maybe deals, I don't know, 4 to 11 damage, depending on how many cards are in your hand. I think that just sitting out and looting every turn and immediately going up to 6 loyalty, I think that's pretty powerful on a 3-mana Planeswalker.
I kind of wish the alt on it was lower on counters. I think it could be like maybe 7. I don't know.
You guys are thinking about this all wrong. Remember Legion Loyalist?
Yeah.
Right. This is basically Legion Loyalist, right? It gives your creatures first strike and trample. So you need to use that second +1, which means you need to be in an Is It aggro deck, which, you know, is not really a common thing.
I mean,
but I think
elementals.
it's going to be, like a mono red type deck splashing blue, and you have to use that second plus. And that's basically Legion Loyalist, and +2/+0 first strike trample.
Well, only one
is
creature gets
hard.
it, though.
I mean, what about What about
I
like
guess that's
Is It
true.
Drakes? Like, can you imagine using that on a crackling Drake? That's a lot of
Do
damage.
you really need that +2/+0/1 a crackling?
It's the
Maybe
trample.
there's a chump blocker.
It's the trample.
Yeah, just being able to trample over stuff seems pretty good.
I mean, I do like it enough that it can loot, and then it gets to potentially trample through. I guess that's pretty cool. I think my only gripe is that it costing 8 to do the draw 4 is kind of a bummer. I don't know.
So is this modern playable?
I'm gonna say
You can pitch it
doubt
to Force of Negation, actually. So, sure.
It's 3 mana, 5 loyalty. Right? It's basically Narset. It's a big planeswalker.
It is a lot of loyalty for 3 mana.
Yeah,
and
it goes up to
looting,
6.
like, there is more graveyard synergies, I think, in Modern than Standard, but I don't know. I'm
Is
still
this
not.
the replacement for Faithless?
Yes, this is our new Faithless looting. Pretty much the same thing.
This might be, like, for a standard Phoenix, I could see this potentially doing something.
Because you can, like, loot away your Arclight Phoenixes, or, like, random cards to grow your Crackling Drake, or Jumpstart cards. Like, maybe? It seems like... I don't even know if you'd main deck it, but it seems like a card that would be very powerful, like, out of the sideboard of Visit Phoenix to bring it against control. Like, if you slip this in under counter spells against control, that seems like a really powerful threat to have on the table.
Yeah. I mean, and once again, it is just drawing and looting every turn, so that is a problem. If you're worried about, like, I mean, if you just let it sit there, eventually you're gonna sculpt the right hand. So yeah, it seems pretty sweet.
Yeah. It doesn't protect
Alright.
itself, though. That's the only downside. No, other than having high loyalty,
yeah, it's
it
high
doesn't really
loyalty.
protect itself.
Well, but we'll talk about power creep in the set slightly. I don't know about 5 loyalty being high enough nowadays, but let's go on to Oco, Thief of Crowns. 1 green and a blue, 4 starting loyalty, legendary planeswalker Oco, +2 create a food token. That's a new mechanic, and a food token is an artifact where you can pay 2, sacrifice it to gain 3 life. +1, target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. -5, exchange control of target artifact or creature you control, and target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less.
I think I like it because first off, you get to +2, and then you get to -5 the next turn. No matter what you do, you get to -5 next turn.
Yeah, and you get to give them your food token.
Correct.
I love how this shines a light on how bad food tokens are. You like want them just so you can give them away for an actual Magic card.
I'm
feel
thinking of it
food
more like
tokens
its
are good.
flavor. I think food token's pretty sweet, and I think that it's like the whole, like, it's like a trap, right? If you're coming to this plane and you eat food here, it's forgot which fairy tale is it, but it's very Grim Fairy Tales like,
All of
right?
them.
Well, yeah,
It's
I
not
guess.
a trap. It's literally 3 life. You don't lose
No. It's like flavor wise, like you're giving them the food at the exchange of like whatever your creature is or something like that. I'm like, I like that. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool.
I think this card is insane, actually. So +1 is like a beast within, except it doesn't go to the graveyard. Like, it's just permanently a 3/3 elk. And it can be your creature, can be their creature. You can make a food token and then make it into a 3/3 elk if you feel like it.
Yep.
And I think food tokens will be sneaky good in this
Yeah.
set. It's something like you don't want to pay mana or cards for, but you can just imagine a game going long and you've accumulated like 6 food and you're like, well, that's 18 life, haha, right? Like, I can see that happening. So
Yeah.
you don't want to like explicitly pay cards or mana for this, but as side effects, they just sit around, and then when you're grinding people out trying to trade, you just have all this free life.
Yep. And also, this card also goes up to 6 mana. I mean, 6 loyalty, which is pretty sweet. It was like what we were talking about with the Royal Scions. And I mean, what about something like, what's the 2 mana, kind of Bitter Blossom?
Yeah, I think
You know, like
Really there?
you could go like turn 2, play that, make a 1/1 that gets the amass token, and then you turn it into a 3/3 with a 1/1 token on it. Boom, extra saucy.
I actually think maybe that's the easiest. Like, I don't know if I would just play this in any Simic deck. My first impression of it is you actually kind of have to build around it, like with the Dreadhorde invasion trick or something. Like, I don't know. Beast Within doesn't seem that appealing to me in Standard. It seems really good in Commander. Like, a +1 to Beast Within Commander seems great. In Standard, how many threats are there, especially in the early game, that you really want to turn into 3/3s? Like, a lot of times that's going to be improving your opponent's board. Like, yeah, I'll take your 1-drop and make it into a 3/3. Thank you for activating your Oko.
Well, here's the beauty, right? If they have like literal nothing, like 1/1s, you don't Beast Within it, right? You just go to 6 loyalty and they can't hit your Planeswalker. But if they have something big, like a 6/6, then you Beast Within it. But you can make like food beast, or you can beast your own 1/1s, right? Like there are lots of things you can do with this. It's a 3-mana Planeswalker. The bar is pretty low.
I think that's how I want to play Oku, though, is like trying to use the +1 to turn my own things into 3/3s, like with Dreadhorde Invasion, or there's other random like 1/1s that you can upgrade. Upgrading the food tokens, that is a way to turn a semi-useful food token into a 3/3, which seems kind of nice. So is this something you just stick in any Simic deck, though? Or is this for like, I don't know, food tribal, some sort of like Dreadhorde Invasion?
It would be Breadhorde
build
Invasion
around
if it's food. Remember that. It has to be Breadhorde Invasion. Come on.
Oh boy. Okay.
I think it's any deck. I think it's good enough to go in any deck.
I mean, we have cards like Piper of the Swarm. I'm seeing it with Sultai, or something like that. Cause like you could create a rat, turn into a 3/3. That's pretty sweet. I don't know. There's a lot you can do, but I like the card. I think it's pretty sweet.
I think both of you are higher on food tokens than I am. I see a food token and I see a bad clue.
I mean, maybe I'm hungry.
See food tokens, and yes, you're a little hungrier than I am, and seem to like them a bit more.
I see a Beast Within. Beast Within is the best.
That's
imagine a control deck with this, right? You come down, you Beast Within some stuff, you make some food tokens, and like you stabilize the board, right?
Something with like maybe like Indestructible, but now becomes just a 3/3, vanilla. And then you just sweep the board. There's a lot, but that +1 I think is pretty big.
I mean,
on a
going
3-mana
loyalty,
Planeswalker.
Going up to 6 loyalty is definitely scary.
I'm going to go off the deep end, guys. It's going to be Modern playable.
Ooh.
You're going to see it show up somewhere in Modern.
Wait, what Simic decks are there in Modern?
I don't know. Simic is a bad color combination. But the ability to Beast Within something like at will. So you can now Beast Within any artifact combo. And, problematic creatures, and you can swap and gain control of things. I think at 3 that goes up to 6 loyalty, I think it has a shot in Modern somewhere. But as Krim said, Simic is usually a very bad color, so I don't know if we have enough Simic decks.
It is nice though, being able to turn an artifact into a creature like you had mentioned, and then just like, I don't know, being able to cast a board wipe. And have it actually do something. Whereas
that seems like so ambitious, though. Like building a multi-card combo to make your damnation work. Is that really?
No, you just Modern? Have like a Tarmogoyf or something that blanks all their 3/3s, right? Like you can give them as many 3/3s as they want, but they're not doing anything with it.
I mean, over time, I think
nice Batterskull there, nice Stoneforge Mystic, nice Sword of the Meek, nice Urza. Any combo piece, right? Next Oblivion Stone. Like, I don't know. There's lots of things you can hit, right?
It's free. Okay. It's free every turn. Also, I guess that's just my thing. It's a free Beast Within every turn.
But Beast Within doesn't really see play.
It doesn't.
Because giving your opponent a 3/3 is usually pretty bad, because then they beat you down with a 3/3.
Then you die to the 3/3.
That's why you have the food to offset the whole.
Yeah, that undoes one attack from the Beast Within token you give your opponent.
It could be key. It could be what keeps you alive. Like getting hit for 3 versus just losing to a combo or something like that.
That's true. Maybe it's better than I give it credit for. You guys are sort of winning me over a little bit, but I'm still skeptical of this one.
All right, I'm gonna have to go to the brewing table here. We're gonna have to make an Oko and 5-0 a Modern League.
But how can it fit into Jund, Richard? Can you splash it in your Jund
Ren
deck?
6 into Oko, and then it
We're
becomes
gonna go 5-color Jund. Okay,
5-color Jund. Jund splash other 2 colors.
It's like turn 2 Striker Root Geist, turn 3 Liliana,
this mana
turn
base
4
is divine.
Oko. Don't worry about mana. We have Astrolabe. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
I have seriously tried to brew some weird decks with Astrolabe. I'm like, whatever, it's Astrolabe, it's fine. And then you never get the snow mana. All right, next up, many people have been waiting for the return of Garrick, and Garrick is here as the Huntsman in this world. So Garrick, Cursed Huntsman, 4 black and a green, 5 starting loyalty, 0, create 2/2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens with, when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garrick you control. -3, destroy target creature, draw a card. -6, you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +3/+3, and have trample.
This is a Planeswalker I think is the most busted in the set. This card, I don't remember who I first saw make this comparison, but it is very similar, I think, to Elspeth Sun's Champion. I think, and Elspeth was very good in Standard. That was like one of the key control finishers and mid-range finishers even in like Abzan style decks when it was in Standard. Still shows up in Modern sometimes as like a one of. Garrick is a lot like Elspeth Sun Champion. Multiple tokens every single turn, a negative that can destroy something, and then an ultimate that is essentially like a permanent anthem and evasion for your creatures. It's set up almost exactly like Elspeth Sun's Champion. 2/2/2s with that 0 ability every turn. How do you beat that? How do you get through that? We were talking about the 3-mana Planeswalkers not protecting themselves. This protects itself insanely well, and eventually those wolves die, you get extra loyalty, you ultimate, have a permanent overrun for all your creatures, and just kill your opponent. It seems like an insane, like, Sultai control finisher, Golgari control finisher.
I was thinking
5-color
Abzan.
Planeswalker, Abzan, like, any sort of mid-ranger control deck, I expect, it's like better Vraska. And Vraska was very good back in her day, like, before we got more sets in Standard. This is almost like just a strict upgrade on 6-mana Vraska.
I mean, this card is really dumb. There's no counterplay to it. The counterplay is you actually counterspell it, right? Because, 6 mana, 5 loyalty, it comes down 2 wolf tokens. If you try to attack Garrick, they chump block, next turn, they overrun permanently, right? And that one remaining wolf becomes a 5/5, right? Like, or you leave it alone, and then Garrick gets to make even more wolves and gets to destroy things at will. So I don't know what the counterplay is, like a hero's downfall type effect, but you definitely can't use combat. And God forbid you have a sack outlet, right? Because you can come down, make wolf tokens, sack one, and then just ultimate.
Guys.
Yeah.
You're missing the curve of Tolsimir. Into this. I get that. Like, this is a very good card, and don't get me wrong, but Tolsimir. Also, the Flash Wolf thing. Maybe I'm thinking obviously very small ball here, but I am trying to make wolves happen now. All right, this is a thing, and you even get to play adorable ferocious pup. There it is.
Yeah. Garrick might be good enough to make wolves into
I think he's good enough to carry the deck.
I don't
carry
think
the deck. Whoa! Slow down, Richard. Slow down.
Like
Let's not say
Rat,
things
right?
you
Like
can't
whatever
take
you have in your
back.
deck, it doesn't matter.
That is true.
I'm gonna
Garrick,
fight your entire board down, and then you're gonna feel bad about saying Garrick's carrying because it's Tolsimir.
But yeah, I think this card. Do you think this card has any chance at showing up in older formats?
No.
No. Okay.
It's too slow. It doesn't do anything.
Elspeth though, but
Elspeth doesn't even see play in older formats.
Elspeth sees some play
it's even in the colors.
in Modern.
It does see. It shows up in control decks as a one of sometimes.
as a singleton or
like
something
a one of
like that.
finisher. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you rather play Grave Titan? But then it's like 2019. You don't play Grave Titan. You play Primeval Titan.
No,
with Field of the Dead to give you a Grave Titan anyway, right? Like,
I think though Grave Titan is a sweet card. Trust me, I forced that in Modern for actually up until a very recent point. The thing is though, Elspeth is just better because you get to keep doing it every turn. It doesn't
Elspeth
have
for
to
the
attack.
sweeper, Gideon if you want the targeted.
Yep.
I am kind of excited for Garrick Tribal though, since it puts a loyalty counter on all of your Garricks. So I think that's what I want to do with it. Krim can play Wolf Tribal. I'll play Garrick Tribal. We'll do a battle. See who wins.
Oh, what you need is Oath of Gideon or whatever, the thing that gives you +1 loyalty, so you can just come down and ultimate.
Or just like doubling season on
I
curve
didn't
for
even
doubling
see
season.
that actually. Put a loyalty counter on each Garrick you control.
Yeah. So if there's more Garricks floating around,
Except
you can
for like
really go
what?
crazy.
Garrick is not exactly the cheapest planeswalker, although it is nice though.
You can curve Garricks, right? You go Wild
Apex
Speaker
Predator.
into Relentless into What's the 5 drop? Primal Hunter into Cursed Huntsman into Apex Predator? Boom. There's your deck.
Wait,
Yeah. How does anyone beat that?
how does it, wait, what's the story of Garrick? How did he get to this plane? Is that explained to us yet? Or because I thought he was an Apex Predator and now he's like the slave of Oko.
Wasn't he cursed I don't know. I'm sure
we don't know
it
what the
probably
story
was
is,
explained, but
he
I don't know it.
represents the hunter or the huntsman in all of the fairy tale movies. So
And he looks like Dr. Doom with a cloak. Seth, that's a superhero villain.
he also got
that's
really,
what-
really swole since we last saw him. He's like really big now.
Yeah, those guns have only gotten bigger. Look at those biceps.
All right. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but as we're podcasting, there was a new mythic, so we might as well hit it up.
Oh.
Questing Beast. 2 green. So 4 CMC, 4/4. Legendary creature Beast. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. Whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that players controls.
Well,
Did you guys catch this? So it's a
Hold
4
on.
mana 4/4. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Can't be blocked with creatures power 2 or less, so Steel Leaf Champion.
yep.
Combat damage dealt by your creatures can't be prevented. And when it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to a planeswalker that player controls.
Does it have haste?
Lord. It does.
It
Vigilance,
does.
Death
Vigilance,
Touch, Haste.
Death Touch, Haste.
Okay. Because if it didn't have haste, I don't know how good this would be. But
That is a
I mean, it's a
lot
4
of
mana
text.
4/4 with like 8 million abilities on it.
and it's legendary, so
It's
it doesn't just
legendary,
get
it's
embarrassed
legendary.
by like well, actually, cast down rotates, right? Yeah.
I mean, that seems pretty good. Like a 4
Yeah.
4 for 4 is good. A 4 4 for 4 with Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, that would
Yeah.
already just be a good card. And then it has like three extra, like it beats random protection for some reason, but the damage can't be prevented. It kills planeswalkers. Like, how could this card not be good? Like, it's just got so many words on it.
Except
So
for
it
one thing.
depends if they make a 4 mana like 5/5, then this card is like trash, right? Because it just trades, right? Like,
Well-
remember Pelucranos? We're like, wow, this card is so good, and then like, turns out it's not that good.
I mean, yeah, Pelucranos was pretty sweet because that was a 4 mana 5/5 and with a crazy upside. But I think this card is very good. I mean, at the very worst, yeah, like it has Death Touch. It can trade. I don't know. I like that. I like that. It can't get chump blocked. I think the card's pretty sweet.
I
I
think,
think it's really good, but it could be just not good, depending on what else they put in the set.
But I mean, we're also in like War of the Spark standard where everyone's like playing 14 planeswalkers or something absurd. So I like that Wizards is like, seems to be intentionally printing cards in Throne of Eldraine to be able to fight the busted stuff from War of the Spark. And with this card being one of them.
Oh, I forgot that I used Pelucranos. That was the wrong example. It was the Golgari thing, the 4 mana 4/5 that when it's like something died, it scryed, and everyone was like, wow, this is like the greatest card ever, but it saw no play because of Pelucranos, I think.
There's another new mythic.
There's another new mythic. Let me
Embercleave?
refresh MTG previews.
Embercleave, yeah.
All right, Embercleave. We're never ending this podcast. 4 mana, so 6 CMC, 4 red. Legendary artifact equipment. Flash. This spell costs 1 less for each attacking creature you control. When Embercleave enters the battlefield, attached to target creature you control, equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample, equipped 3.
Huh. That is a weird card.
Yeah.
It's like a combat trick.
It's a
kind
combat
of.
trick, right?
What is the spell that actually does that? There's like a 3 mana instant that gave +1/+1 double strike and trample like a couple of sets ago. Interesting.
But so you basically attack with a bunch of creatures, cast this for cheap, it attaches to something, and then does
And then you
lots
can
of
move
damage.
it around in the future if you want to. Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is like broken or anything, but if for 2 mana, it's probably like if you have enough creatures where you're casting this for 2 mana, it's probably pretty strong in an aggro.
Are you
deck.
ever attacking with 6 creatures and not winning already? Like,
Well, you only need 4 to,
4 creatures.
to get it to 2 mana, but still, yeah. I guess like maybe a bunch of tokens or something, some sort of go wide. I don't know.
but if you have go wide, giving your creature +1/+1,
I feel like this is more EDH.
I think this card's bad.
Yeah.
Like you
It's
need to
standard.
go
It's
wide
bad.
with a single big creature, right? Because you need that double strike and trample. Like giving your 1/1 2/2 double strike trample is not really the end of the world, right? Like it needs to be a big creature. All right, I'm gonna have to go there. What if you fetch this with Stoneforge Mystic?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is there any world in which this is useful?
My Stoneforge swings for 2 now.
Like
I don't
how about
think so.
Death
2 and
Shadow? You like grab one of these and stick it on a Death Shadow?
I think the problem is Death Shadow usually only has like 1 or 2 creatures attacking, so it's going to be
4
hard
mana.
to get it cheap. Like if somehow you could have Death Shadow
Stoneforge it.
and it was 2 mana, yeah, I guess you could
Stoneforge.
cheat into play with Stoneforge.
I don't know if I want to.
But then you like batter skull and gain life, and your Death Shadow dies.
No, you don't put Batterskull in your deck. You only put Embercleave, and it acts like a Temur Battle Rage.
Oh, no.
No, you don't want to put Batterskull in your Death Shadow deck. Like gain
Yeah,
4
that's-
life. Oh, my Death Shadow die. Okay, misplay. All right. Next up, we have Rankle, Master of Pranks. 2 black, legendary creature, fairy rogue, 3/3, flying, haste. When Rankle deals combat damage to a player, choose any number. Each player discards a card. Each player loses 1 life and draws a card. Each player sacrifices a creature.
I like this card. I like this card a lot, actually. It's a 3/3 flying haste in standard. I think the choose any number mode had me a little puzzled at first because like, wait, so I can do what and in what order? But yeah, it's top down, so never mind. I can't.
Yeah,
make it
so you
to
can
draw
do
a card with
0
this card.
to 3 of these.
Yeah, but you can do
Or
1 of
0,
each,
1, 2. Yeah,
but not multiple times of a certain mode.
correct.
Yeah, I still like it. I mean, maybe I have a bias because it's a fairy and I like fairies. So flying haste already on its own, pretty solid. So most of the time I feel like it's going to connect. I don't know. I mean, or maybe you go Grixis and you give it trample with the Royal Scions. That curves perfectly. Boom. I don't know. Other than that,
So all of these effects are symmetrical. So you have to find some way to break it. And the easiest way is you have token creatures, and then you sacrifice your token, they sacrifice their real creature, and then you basically just lock them out of the game so they can't cast creatures. That's the only So if we have like an actual Bitter Blossom type card,
We do, kinda. We have.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Red Horde Invasion.
no, one that actually makes fairies for your fairy deck.
Oh.
mediocre blossom is solid.
So when I first read this card, I was like, okay, it seems fine. If you build around it, maybe you can build a deck that like uses Blood for Bones to reanimate what you discard. Or you can play like Judith, Aristocrats, and like use the sacrifice for value. But the more I've thought about this card, I think that it's just like good on its own. If you consider it's 3 hasty damage and can be 4 hasty damage thanks to forcing your opponent to draw a card and take a damage, that's just a pretty scary card in an aggro deck. I imagine you just like curving out your Knight of Eben Legion and do whatever into Judith, into this, and attacking, and just like winning the game essentially when you hit for 4 in the air and sack something to trigger Judith. So I think this is just like a scary threat in any sort of like Rakdos aggro style deck. Even discounting all the abilities and stuff, even if you're just like hitting for 3 in the air, maybe getting extra damage from the card draw ability, I think that's good enough in standard to be very strong, like a Lightning Angel or a Mantis Rider or something with upside.
Yeah. I mean, and also, once again, you had mentioned an Rakdos style deck, so maybe you swing in, you get each player's sack, you sack your like Dreadhorde Butcher, which will then blow up in their face for like, I don't know, maybe an X amount of damage at that point.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
good.
Is this modern playable?
Will I make it? Like, can I register this for a modern event?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you,
yes,
can
I
you register and actually have an impact on the games in which you cast it?
If I'm okay, so like I do want to, I want to with Bitter Blossom and all this other, like when this set gets officially released, I'm going to try a lot of things in fairies, but it does kind of just get bolted.
And Fatal Pushed with Revolt, like it dies to everything. I'm going to say it's just like, completely unplayable.
Removal argument, though,
But it has haste. It has haste. You can probably get in there.
The dies to removal argument, when it's 1 mana removal and you're casting a 4-drop, I think it's actually like sort of legit. That's like time walking yourself when your opponent bolts this.
Yeah, the dice removal argument works, I guess. Like it comes down to like, that's why like, what does the creature do immediately? And does it leave anything behind? Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I agree with that. It's just, At the same time,
If
okay, think about it. You'll have spell stutter sprites to maybe eat one of those 1 mana removal spells.
if you have your 3 mana Teferi out, they can't blow you out at instant speed, so you at least get in one hit. Yeah,
you know, Esper Fairies just popped up on the 5-0 like list, and I was like, yo.
If this thing had Flash, I think it'd be a different story.
Well, yeah, but if it had Flash, I think this would be way too strong, right?
It still dies to Bolt even if it has Flash.
Not if I have a 3 mana Teferi.
All right. Circle of Loyalty, our last mythic for today. 4 white legendary artifact. This spell costs 1 less for each knight you control. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. 2 and a white tap, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance.
If Knight Tribal is a thing, this seems really good. Obviously, super narrow in that if you're not playing Knight Tribal, it's just unplayable. I like that when you cast a legendary, like looking at knights, they don't seem to be too legendary theme. I know we're supposed to be getting some legendary knights. I don't have super high hopes that we're going to have like a ton of legendary knights in standard Knight Tribal, but I like that the legendary ability gives you protection for drawing multiples. Like worst case, it's a 2 mana 2/2 when you cast the second copy and legend rule yourself. So you're getting some value and maybe that lets you play 4 of them. But I think if you're playing Knight Tribal, I'm probably playing 4 of these in my Knight Tribal deck. Otherwise, I don't think it has a shot if you're casting it for like 5 or 6 mana.
It depends if we have History Benalia.
It's kind of weird that like this comes in at a time where like Ariel or like Aria just rotates, and then, you know, History Benalia rotates some pretty big knight cards. Also like the 2 mana 2/2 knights that have hexproof, or whatever, hexproof from certain colors. I don't know. Feels like, wow, why did this come out right now? Why not the set before?
For historic, we got to have some reason to hold on to your knight cards through rotation.
It's too expensive. It needs to be 4 mana, I think.
Well, it gets it's
like
true.
You have 2 knights out. Like this is the perfect time, right, to like play your Anthem effect, but then the thing still costs like 1 million mana.
I don't know. I think this is still pretty solid. I mean, you get enough knights in this set, and I mean, you already are seeing a ton of knights.
Like, are we assuming there are no sweepers in this set? Like, you have 2 knights on the board, you need to commit like 4 more. Like,
if they don't have the sweeper though, you know what I mean? And it also like punishes people like me who want to get greedy with their sweepers. Like, oh, it's fine. What if we just wait a turn or something like that? Obviously now there's now we can't. Have
food tokens to stabilize, so you're good.
No. Food tokens don't help the fact that they get to resolve this though, and whatnot, because no one plays counter magic.
I don't like this. I'm actually surprised it's a mythic in this set. Do you think it's standard playable? Do you think we'll see it?
I think it's
even in a
playable.
knight deck.
Yeah, I think it's standard playable.
I think it's great in a knight deck. I think like, if there's a knight deck, this is probably one of the reasons the knight deck is going to be good.
Yeah.
Is it History of Benalia like 1,000,000 times better?
But it's
we
it's
don't have
rotate.
History of Benalia.
Yeah,
like, that's not part of the equation anymore.
But
yes,
even
History of
then,
Benalia is probably
we didn't have knight
better,
decks, right?
Yeah, but we do know that Knights is one of the main supported tribes from Throne of Eldraine, though. So we'll see. Like, I'm not convinced Knights will get enough support, but if they get enough support, I expect this would be a part of the Knight deck in Standard.
You get, I mean, think about it. There's Wintermoor Commander. That's kind of like a cool card.
I'm sure there'll be enough Knights that we can build a Knight deck. Whether or not we have enough Knights that it's like a legit top tier competitive deck, I think that is what remains to be seen at this point.
Yeah. We'll have to see with the rest of the spoilers. But I mean, I'm just saying, I think that we could definitely have something for that.
And we have some good hold, like Knight of Eben Legion still there, Midnight Reaper's still there,
Murderous Rider.
All the Cavaliers are technically Knights, which I didn't realize until I was researching, but all the Cavalier cycle are Knights, so we do have some holdovers.
And you'd have the Black Cavalier, who I actually really like that card, and it can get back your Murderous Rider, I guess, if you want.
Ooh.
We're not there yet. Hold on. Actually, we'll just go there right now. Murderous Rider. 1 black. It's a zombie knight. Okay. It has this new mechanic, adventure. So what adventure is on the card, you're going to see like a little storybook, and it has an adventure and it has the main card. So you can cast your adventure. It's an instant or sorcery. You exile it as you cast it, right? So it's just a normal spell. And then After your adventure, you can cast it as a creature, or you can cast it directly as a creature. So here's an example. 1 black, Murderous Rider. 2/3 lifelink. When Murderous Rider dies, put it on the bottom of its owner library. Its adventure is Swift End. 1 black, instant adventure. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. You lose 2 life.
Do you remember how good Hero's Downfall was? Like, that was staple removal spell, and that was in old standard before Wizards decided to put 38 planeswalkers in More of the Spark and make Chandra tribal in Core Set 2020. So I feel like this is just staple removal spell. Like, I don't even care. Like, it's an upside that you could cast it as a creature. It's cool that you can, like, cast it as card advantage from your exile zone, and then it dies and goes back in your deck. Maybe you can, like, shuffle and draw it again. But just being, like, a slightly worse Hero's Downfall, I think means it's going to be a 4 of in a lot of decks, just because there's so many good planeswalkers you want to kill.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I remember after, like, Hero's Downfall rotated, we got like a Ruinous Path eventually, and like that was sorcery speed, and we were playing that. But the fact that it's the return of an instant speed that's a bit cheaper, not as mana intensive like Bedevil, I'm a fan.
Like power creep, anyone? Like, do you believe any of these cards? Like, basically Hero's Downfall, and then you get to quote unquote flashback a 3 mana 2/3 lifelink. But if you somehow bounce it, you get to reset all of this. So
bounce it.
You know, if Krim wants to Teferi Murderous Rider, you get a card, you get another Hero's Downfall, and afterwards you get another 2/3 lifelinker, offsetting your 2 life. And for some reason, it's a knight and zombie as well. Like, you know, 2 pushed tribes. Like, what?
This set and this mechanic, what is the card from Core Set 2020 that lets you bounce your own creatures? It's like a blue artifact, but... Do you know what I mean? Use it to pick up your Frostlinks in limited.
the erratic portal card. What is it?
Yeah.
Portal of Sanctuary. It's 3 mana artifact, pay 1, you can bounce a creature and all auras on it back to your hand. Seems insane with a lot of these adventure cards. I'm like excited to try to build Portal of Sanctuary with these adventure cards.
Yeah.
That's just like a planeswalker lock. You like kill a planeswalker, cast it, bounce it back to your hand, kill something else, bounce it back to your hand. The lifelink lets you undo the life loss. Only 1 attacker block undoes the life loss that you spend to kill something. I think this card's really good. I expect this to just be like standard staple.
Okay. Yeah. Is this modern playable? No one plays Hero's Downfall, right? Everyone leans on Assassin's Trophy.
Blue-black decks do.
Maybe like a 1 of? Like, it's not, like, heavily played, right? Even if you do play it.
Yeah, it's like 1 or 2 of. It's not like a 4
Would you... So here's a good question.
It's a zombie. You can get back grave crawlers.
If you were gonna play Hero's Downfall, would you just play this instead? Is this a better Hero's Downfall?
I like it because it's also a clock. I don't like that it makes me lose 2 life in Modern when I'm already taking 5. Like, everyone starts at 15 pretty much in Modern. So
Thought seizes and shocks and fetches. Like, another way to lose life in your blue-black deck seems a little sketchy, although it does help you gain it back if it lives.
If it lives, which is, you know how we were talking about the dies to a bolt and all that other stuff? Like,
I mean, if they bolted it, you're fine with that exchange, right?
Yeah, I guess.
The other thing that's kind of interesting is in your hand or your deck, it's the creature part that matters, right? So, like a creature tutor would find this.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Is
Oath
that
of
correct?
Nissa.
So you could like Oath of Nissa for it. There's another card that we're about to talk about in a second that lets you dig 5 deep for a creature. So you can like find your spells with these like creature-based tutor effects, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I actually kind of... Like, it's interesting. So this card, maybe not so much, because you can destroy a planeswalker, but it's like removal, but it's also a clock. So let's say you're playing against a control deck and you just want to lay down like a 3 mana 2/3 beater. So otherwise your removal would be dead, you know, like a fatal push. But if you have this thing, you might hold it for Teferi anyway. So maybe that's not a good example, but in other cases, just laying it down as a 3 mana 2/3 and having it be this like weird split card, is not bad.
On the adventure mechanic in general, I think this is... I love these cards, but I think this is another example of Wizards designing a bit for best of one. Not so much with this card, because I think this is just like a 4 of main deck card, but we see like there's the red 2/1 for 2 that's also just blow up an artifact for 1 mana. Stuff like that's a way you can sneak sideboard cards into your main deck and still like not get punished, because you can't just play like Smelt. You can't play Smelt in your standard deck, but you can play a 2/1 for 1 that can also Smelt. So I think it's really nice how Wizards has designed so many of these like flexible mechanics lately.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's move on to Once Upon a Time. 1 and a green. Instant. If this spell is the first spell you've cast this game, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put them in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
A free spell.
Wizards.
Remember, it's not a basic land, a creature or a land.
I can't think of a deck that's looking for Gristlebrand, and has Allosaurus Rider.
Tron components.
Yep. Well, like, you know, like, I can't think of any decks that really want that, you know? No, I'm kidding. This card is sweet. I think this will be, this I can definitely see getting played in Modern.
Yeah,
So
I think
is it
I'm more
good
excited
enough?
about it in Modern.
Yeah.
Is it good enough? Like, so
why
here's
would
the
Brand
downside.
not want this?
No. So you obviously the free one you want, right? But you have to put 4 of these in your deck so you actually get it in your opener. The next ones cost 2. Like, is that a downside, or is the upside of the first one good enough?
I don't think you play this fairly, really, in Modern. I think if you're playing, like, maybe Vizier Druid combo, Neo Brand combo, something where you're just, like, trying to kill as quickly as possible with creatures, then I think you don't care. Like, this is a free tutor on turn 0. If you draw it later in the game, either your opponent's already dead because you comboed off, or you're probably not going to win because you didn't combo off. So in those type of decks, I don't really see much downside to it if you're trying to kill by like turn 2 or 3. In fair decks, a little bit less likely to see play. I don't know if I would just play this for value. We have like Grizzly Salvage is essentially the same card, except you can't cast it for free if you have it as your first spell, and that doesn't really see play in Modern. So I don't know. I think it's like to support those degenerate fast combo decks in Modern more than just to like play fairly for 2 mana.
Is Tron a degenerate deck, or is it a fair deck?
I'm actually not sure about Tron. Like,
I consider it as degenerate.
Fetch Tron pieces.
I consider it very degenerate.
Is it better? Like, what would you take out of Tron to play this? I think it's worse than Ancient Stirrings.
Karn, and then also the Ulamogs. I think.
What if they ban Stirrings and then just?
If they ban Stirrings, then I think you play it.
Yeah,
but I think
Stirrings is just better. Stirrings is
whiffing
just
on your Planeswalkers, not hitting your random cycle artifacts. I think the whiff potential is much higher than Ancient Stirrings and Tron with this card.
Okay, Here's the real question. Do you think this card is safe for Modern? Do you think we'll see an emergency ban, or did Wizards actually think this through, test it all out, and they're like, no, it's fine, guys. Like, you know, there's downsides and there's counterplay to this. Or they're like, oh, we don't think about Modern whatsoever, guys. We just wanted Once Upon a Time for top-down design.
It is flavorful. I think it is
very
hilarious that you play
flavorful.
this on turn 0 and you have to say Once Upon a Time like you're telling your opponent a story. Like, I do love that aspect of the card. They like go to play like their other first upkeep before they play their land. You're just like, hang on, Once Upon a Time.
Gristlebrand came.
I don't think it will get banned, but it might hasten the banning of something like Neoform if one of those decks takes off too much. Like, I don't think it's safe for Modern, and I don't like that it supports fast combo decks primarily, but I don't know if this is the problem, or like maybe it's that Neo Brand is the problem or whatever. So
this would not be the problematic card. It's a sweet card, but it's not the problematic card.
It just adds like a little bit more consistency to some of the fast combo decks that are like their only real drawback is they lose to themselves sometimes by not being consistent enough. So I don't think Once Upon a Time is a problem, but it might make those combo decks just consistent enough that maybe Neo Brand or something like that, Vizier Druid, actually is in the conversation for banning.
I think this card will get banned eventually.
Really? You think this will be the problematic card?
Yes.
Why not like Gristlebrand?
Because they can't keep banning like every single combo deck, right? And Wizards keeps giving like these combo decks proactive ways to for free do things, and we saw this with Hogak, right? Free spells are bad because we don't have free answers, and we don't have free answers. So either Wizards just keeps banning these combo decks, right? And now we have Force of Negation, which if you want to really force a negation once upon a time, you're going to feel super bad, right?
What about the Black Force?
I guess.
That's a free-ish answer.
But I feel like Wizards has never done, like, free mana just breaks the game. Free spells breaks the game because the entirety of Magic is balanced around this resource called mana. And it always breaks the game. So, Phyrexian mana, Delve, Convoke, like all this stuff always leads to broken things. So I think Once Upon a Time just hastens that.
But like, I feel like, I don't know what it does, although like it's only free once again if it's the first spell you've cast. And I don't know. I think there is enough of a drawback to where this is like, how often do you think this will be the free spell? Like, are you sitting there and waiting until this becomes the free spell? Or, because like at that point, you're just like slowing down your game plan for no reason, right? I don't know. I think there's
you take a good deck, right? And then this just makes you win like 5 or 10% of the time more when it's in your opening hand. Like, it just adds consistency to, an all-in combo deck, which we have all-in combo decks that aren't entirely consistent, right?
Right. Like, so yeah, like Neo Brand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not like casting it fairly as 5 mana or something. Like 2 mana is...
It's just like one more than like, what you would actually pay, right?
It's still like kind of pretty fine at 2 mana. Like that's not why you play it in Modern, but you're not going to be embarrassed if you cast this for 2 mana and get your Tron land or get your combo piece or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't... I don't think the card is like bad by any means just for 2 mana. And the fact that it's instant is very sweet. So like I don't have to do it on my turn. But is this something I'd really ban? I don't know. I don't see this being banned.
Speaking of instant speed, I kind of like this in Standard for the Simic Flash deck. Like it triggers your Brineborns, it digs for your big flash threats. You can leave up counter magic and like all of your creatures. And if you decide you don't need to cast something, you can cast this and dig for whatever finisher you need. So I think that's the most obvious home in Standard, where even casting it at 2 mana in Standard at instant speed, that's pretty fine for Standard. Not exciting for Modern, but in Standard.
I can see this being played fairly in Standard. Like, as a fair style of deck. So,
and
like
maybe
werewolves.
like sometimes you get free value out of it, but even if you're casting it for 2 mana, you're perfectly fine with that in Standard.
Yeah.
All right, we're going long. So last card we're going to talk about today, Lovestruck Beast. 3 mana, creature, beast, noble, 5/5. Lovestruck Beast can't attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. Heart's Desire is its adventure at sorcery, a single green mana. Create a 1/1 human creature token.
I think this card's great. I think this card's great.
Beast.
Yeah.
I probably would have liked this card. I like the flavor. I think I was higher on this card before we started the podcast, and then they spoiled Questing Beast. And compared to Questing Beast, why would you play Lovestruck Beast?
Well, this is 1 mana cheaper.
It's cheaper and it trades.
That's true. That's true.
And it can block.
Thing.
It could still block. It just can't attack unless you have a 1/1.
I think it's decent. I mean, the stats are good. 5/5 for 3. That's good. As far as like these drawback cards, having a 1/1, if you build around it a little bit, especially since it provides a 1/1, seems like one of the lesser drawbacks, although sometimes you're still going to be really sad when your 1/1 dies and this can't attack. I think it's fine. I don't think this is broken or some like example of power creep or anything. But if there's like some sort of green base deck with tokens that are making a lot of 1/1s naturally, then it seems like a pretty reasonable threat.
I mean, this on its own
that.
helps you curve out, right? Like I love that. I love that. You get to turn 1, just make a 1/1. And then turn 2, I don't know, for the sake of this, Once Upon a Time or something, who cares? Right? And then you get to play this on 3. I don't know. I mean, imagine if like I actually sat down and didn't just throw Once Upon a Time in there. There's probably something that you could do on 2 and go right into Lovestruck Beast. I think this card is sweet. It helps you fill out your curve.
You could turn to Raise the Alarm to ensure Lovestruck Beast keeps going.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Seth here. So when you look at this card, you're like, wow, it is actually really good. And I'm more high on this card than Seth is. I actually think a 3 mana 5/5, the downside is minimal. It comes with a 1/1 staple to it. And I don't know, you can fetch up a Dryad Arbor or something, right? Like, I don't know. There's probably 1/1 token makers in the set. However, after reading all of the cards that we've gotten so far, like power creep seems pretty high in the set. I don't know that a 3 mana 5/5 is going to cut it anymore, right? Given Questing Beast, given things like Murderous Rider, like these cards are so powerful and it seems like games will be so grindy and long. I don't know how valuable this 3-mana 5/5 with certain downside is. So in a normal set, I would think this is crazy, but the cards seem really strong in Throne of Eldraine.
I still think it's pretty solid. I think it's fine even with things like that. And you know, why pit them against each other when you play them together in the same deck?
That is true. That is a lot to handle for an opponent, right? Let's say there's a 2-mana 3/2, which I'm most certain there will be, right? You go like 1 mana 1/1, 2 mana 3/2, 3 mana 5/5.
That fights flyers. If that's still in standard, right?
4 mana 4/4
like
haste.
Barkhide Troll, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
but we are losing like Steel Leaf Champion. We're losing Wayward Swordtooth, Jade Light Ranger. There is arguably a hole in the green 3-drop slot. And if mono green is going to be a thing or something base green aggro, then maybe this just is like the new Steel Leaf Champion or whatever that like just fills in that slot in that deck.
Well, Steel Leaf Champion was green, 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 which means you basically had to be mono green to play that thing, right? It's a 3-mana 5/4. So this is a 3-mana 5/5 in which you can actually play other colors and, you know.
But Steel Leaf could also always attack. I think like, does your mono green deck want to play enough one-powered creatures to make this into a Steel Leaf Champion?
Losing Llanowar Elf is the thing.
There.
Yeah, but Steel Leaf Champion is a really good card.
Llanowar Elf rotates.
We'll get an Arbor Elf or a Llanowar Elf.
I would say no. I think it's the bad bird.
Yes. We have the goose.
The goose is a 0/2. It doesn't even power up.
It doesn't even turn it on. It only makes mana every other turn.
But the goose, yo, that card is sweet. Also, fun fact, there's a new wolf that got spoiled. Just saying. That's all. I just want to point that out.
Oh, so many cards. I feel, what is with the pacing of this? We're on day 1 of spoilers, and I think we've gotten like more than half of the mythics. It feels like we've gotten half of the rares. The pacing is insane. I feel like we've just gotten most of the set just thrown on us instantly on the first day of spoiler season.
No complaints here.
Yeah, pacing is weird. Spoiler season starts on Monday, but let us drop like a fifth of the set before. And then a lot of the mythics and rares. I'm not sure why they're doing this, but I mean, we have lots of cards.
And the set looks insane. Like, this might be one of my favorite sets when it's all said and done. It might be my favorite set, really. Like, the flavor is good. The cards seem powerful. I don't know how anyone can really dislike this set. The art is amazing. The alt art cards are like stunning. Like the Murderous Rider with the unique border and all the like fairy tale art cards. Mm-hmm. They look insanely good. They're just like so beautiful. So I feel like Wizards nailed it with this set. Like, one of the upsides of seeing so many cards so quickly is you can actually kind of like start to judge the set a little bit, even though it's the first official day of spoiler season, and the set looks great. It looks just absolutely way better than I would have ever guessed, and I was very hyped for this set when they announced it, and I think it's exceeding my expectations so far.
Yeah, I really like the promotional cards. So it's not just like different art, right? It's art in this very specific style, like this like dark fairy tale style. So I like that it's different art, but it's like a different flavor of art, kind of like the Japanese planeswalkers.
Yeah,
it's like a different style, right? And it's not just random art, right? So you could actually bling out your deck with all of the alternate borders. It looks really good.
I really hope it comes to Arena as card style. It's got to, right? They gotta put them on there. Oh, I will probably. I am very anti-cosmetics for myself. I just normally don't think they're money, but worth the money. But I'm probably going to buy these because they just look so insane. I'm going to break my own rules about only spending money on real
but
cards.
Every set, you're like, oh, this new cosmetic is so good.
They keep printing really cool cosmetics. Maybe they're winning me
this
over.
Means the Seth is finally coming around to the
they
idea
might
of
be
cosmetics.
winning me over to cosmetics just by printing such cool ones.
But yeah, they put a smiley face in the top left corner. It's really small. I think I'm going to buy this cosmetic.
I'm still waiting for our gingerbread people. This better not let me down.
Yeah, we know there's like from the preview arts, there's something with a gingerbread house. Like I don't care what that is. Like I want that in my life.
We know there's another thing before we got to move on. This is such a long podcast, but another thing we learned: no dual land cycle, but there is a rare land cycle, presumably to support the monocolored theme. So maybe that's where the gingerbread house comes in as part of that rare land cycle.
Rare land cycle. I'm surprised there's no temples.
I'm surprised there's no dual lands either.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised by that, but maybe we'll get like Amirias, and there's been some cool mono-colored land cycles in its time, so maybe they're going to be super cool.
I thought they were just going to finish out the temple cycle, because what we got from M20.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe they'll finish it in the next set. I'm sure we won't have like the unbalanced lands for all of Standard, but it sounds like we're going to have to wait until Return to Theros, which I guess that's when we first got the temples, right? So maybe they're just holding the rest of the temples for Return to Theros in the winter. Anyway,
Fishmail?
Yeah, let's hit up some Fishmail real quick. We're running a bit long, but we got to get in at least some of your questions. So, Richard, Fishmail us.
All right, if you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. At Gizami, I don't know, I'm sorry. If food tokens find themselves spread throughout all colors and are pretty commonly made, does that just kill red deck wins, Cavalcade, Burn, whatever version it ends up being in Standard?
I mean, you still have Tibalt. Tibalt just gets played in like higher numbers, maybe even main deckable now. Because it's not like Tibalt doesn't do anything, right? Tibalt still makes 1/1s.
So far, I don't know. We haven't seen too many playable food cards, standard-wise. So I think at this point, I would wait and see. We'll see how powerful and how playable the food cards are, but I wouldn't worry about red deck wins at this point. And if we don't have red deck wins for a standard like season or for part of a standard season, maybe that's fine, because it feels like that deck's been like at the top of standard for like 3 years now or something.
Yep.
Continuing to set aside our Burn players. I was talking to you guys before the podcast. I actually think they're going to kill Modern Burn somehow in all of this. There's going to be a randomly playable Modern card that makes food tokens, which is enough to like make Burn players cry. A Thraben Inspector, if you would. But like not actually Thraben Inspector. Better than
like
that.
a bake into pie, but cheaper. Like just like a 2 mana kill a creature, create a food token, or like 1 mana create kill a creature.
or maybe there's something that like I don't know, like something with pro red that makes a food token that comes into play or something. I don't know. I'm sure they're gonna push the food mechanic somewhere, and then Burn players will be sad.
It has to be a staple, though. We're talking like it. And all that does, though, I think, it doesn't end Burn. Let's just say they make some absurdly powerful card. That just means like Skullcracks get put in the main.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And Atarka's commands and things like that.
But it's not like Burn is like clearly the best deck, right? It's kind of like playing Noble Hierarchy.
It's really
Red
popular
6
right now.
I guess that's true.
It's like absurdly popular right now.
But I think we'll see food tokens in Modern somehow. I think there'll be a really pushed card in this set, and then this will happen. But we'll see.
It'll balance out all the life loss from the early game.
I'm getting my food tokens ready. Just like put a burger, put some In-N-Out on the table. I'm like, it's a food token.
Sorry, don't mind all the grease on the table.
Diego Ahmed 5. Imagine you're a new player and someone tells you Historic and Standard cost exactly the same amount, but your Historic deck will never rotate. Clearly, you'd play Historic, right? Doesn't this seem like a fine argument that it needs to be more expensive?
I don't actually know if that argument holds true. Like, it doesn't hold true on Hearthstone, apparently, which basically has that system, but Standard on Hearthstone sees way more play than Wild. Plus, the other thing is, like, Standard has way more support than Historic. You have queues all the time. You can qualify for Mythic Championships, or whatever they're called now. Like, there's tournaments that you can watch. People are streaming it. So I think even if they're priced the same, most new players, that's where the content is. That's where the deck lists are. That's where you can get sideboard guides and learn how to play decks. So I think most new players would still play Standard, even if the price was the same.
Yeah, but I think the actual spirit of the question remains the same, right? Like, they have to make Historic less appealing. So it doesn't have to be through price, which they're doing currently. It could be like Seth said, right? Like, there's not as much content. There's not as much ranked queues. There's not as much tournaments. If they make it less appealing, people will play Standard. It doesn't have to be through price, but they do want everyone to play Standard and not Historic. Otherwise, they make no money. Next question. With Throne of Eldraine coming out and cards like Knight's Charge coming soon, do you think we'll have enough good Knights to make Black-White Knights Aristocrats a deck for Modern?
Ooh. So far, I haven't seen any Knights that when I've seen them, they have jumped off the page as like, ooh, that's definitely Modern playable. That doesn't mean that we won't get those, but at this point, I would say wait and see as far as Modern. I think there's a decent chance for Standard Knights to at least be a semi-playable deck, but not too much has jumped off the page Modern-wise, for me at least.
Yeah, I don't see anything Modern-wise.
Yeah. Lord of Mies. After watching the Commander Clash crossover from Vegas, I saw Crim for the first time. Plug, you can watch our SCG crossovers on the SCG channel and on the MTG Goldfish YouTube, as long as our Vegas blog, which went up. He was clean shaven, and I'm extremely confused because I thought he had won the Beard Wars. I may just be stupid, but can you please elaborate? Crim, have you fleeced our viewers? What is going on?
Oh, no. It's an emotional beard. I don't actually have a beard. It's an emotional beard. Like inside, I have a beard that makes everybody shake in fear. But
Crim's mom told him that he had the best beard in the world.
Yep.
You know.
And my mom wouldn't lie to me, so... Yeah. To give the short backstory... For a short backstory, it is just somehow there's a beard wars between Seth and Pleasant Kenobi, and somewhere along the way, I was thrown in as just the best beard, and I have run with it since.
I'm still not sure how you actually got involved to begin with, but it's been pretty hilarious to have someone without a beard potentially win the beard war.
Yeah. I think that might be the best thing of all. Like, it was like on Twitter, you and Vince were tweeting about it, and then people were tagging me as the clear winner.
MTG Bobby just saw the Vegas vlog. How tall is Seth?
I am almost 6'4", like 6'3.5", I guess. So fairly tall, I guess, compared to the typical height of people. The average
Seth is like NFL quarterback tall. What is like the average
lineman?
Lineman? You're lineman?
More like, I don't know. I think average height's only like 5'10" or 5'11", so like 3 or 4 inches over, 4 or 5 inches over the average.
It doesn't help also, like, if you see any of the photos where Seth is standing next to me, where I am absurdly short at like 5'5", so it's just like, it makes Seth look even taller.
We're on the opposite ends of the height spectrum, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have got the outtake where we were recording intros for Commander Clash, and you guys are all standing, and I couldn't get you both in the frame. Sit down. Get some chairs. This isn't working. Now you know how
books on my seat.
How Huey and Marshall feel or whatever when they're trying to do coverage. See, we learned so much.
It does make sense now.
It does make sense. So that's all the time we have for Fish Mail. We had so many previews this week. So if you have questions, send them again next week and we'll try to get to them at MTG Goldfish with the hashtag MTG Fishmail.
And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 241 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So Richard, Crim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks again to Spikes Academy for supporting the show. You can get 5% off over at spikesacademy.com with the code GOLDFISH. So until next week, when we should have even more Throne of Eldraine stuff, tons of stuff to talk about, this is the crew signing out.